Good morning. This is Ron from All Things Ron. Today I wanted to talk to you about a subject that came to my mind the other day while helping my mother with some things. Are senior citizens more alone now than before? Let's talk about that for a minute. Do you remember when you was young, and being around your grandparents or even your parents for that fact was not cool? Your grandparents were probably likely in their 50s or 60s, might have been semi-retired or retired as you were growing up. And a lot of grandparents cherish their grandchildren a lot, And when the grandkids decide that they don't want to come around or visit or be around the grandparents, then I think they start to wonder, the grandparents start to wonder why, why they don't get to see the grandkids very often and why they don't contact them. So, that is something I was thinking about the other day. And as you grew up and got older and maybe got married and had children of your own, and I'm speaking of the grandchildren now, you were too busy with life. You didn't have time to call or visit your grandparents or your parents for that matter. And they would sit around and wonder sometimes too that perhaps why, you didn't call or come around or visit them. And then they start hearing about your lavish vacations you were taking at faraway destinations and stuff. Yeah, and I get it, parents want their children to live their own life and stuff. But, back in the olden days, and I wasn't living in those olden days. I just know what I read about. Family was very important, and a lot of stuff was centered around the grandparents, the parents of the children of the grandchildren, holiday, festive events, and all kinds of different things. Maybe even a summer gathering was always centered around those parents, and that's all been lost over the years. Think back over time, put yourself in your grandparents' shoes and think about how you would feel if you were alone, or you didn't have a chance to visit with your children. And I mean really visit. I'm not talking about texting, and I'm not talking about emailing. I'm talking about sitting down on the front porch in a rocking chair and actually visiting with your parents, Or if you're a grandchild, actually sitting down and enjoying some time with your parents. It's important to the seniors, the retirees, the senior citizens, but it's also important to you as a younger person, It helps you grow, it helps you mature, and you need to think about something here. Someday, you young people are going to be old, And you will know what I'm talking about when you get old, If your children or your grandchildren do the same thing to you that you have done to your grandparents, you will understand what I'm talking about, Now that I am becoming a senior citizen myself, and realizing what it's like, wishing and hoping, that your children would call or your grandchildren would call or come by and visit, wondering what you have done to cause this disconnection, I don't think it's anything you have done. I just think it's society in general. We are so tied in with technology. We're so tied in with cell phones and texting and Facebook and that kind of stuff. And a lot of grandparents are on Facebook to get the news, of what their children and grandchildren are doing if they're posting on Facebook. You're wondering why they don't call, they don't stay in contact, and perhaps we're not as important to them. Now, I am not one to sit around and dwell, why I don't hear from my children or my grandchildren. And in fact, to be honest with you, I don't hear from them. I have a stepson who's going to be 50 in January, and he has a son that's about 18. And then I have a real son who is going to be 41, I think, next year, or he's 40 now. let's see, 1985. Yeah, he's 40 years old now. He has two children, two teenage children, and we don't hear from either one of those two unless we contact them. In fact, if you had watched a previous video of mine where my father had disowned me, well, my son has disowned me. Okay. Apparently I am not a good listener, and I guess all the blame was put on me as a parent, and I'm not going to dwell on that, and I'm not going to take that to my grave with me, okay? I really don't understand what I did wrong exactly, okay? And it's hard to say, okay? There's probably several things, but I'm sure it's a two-way street. If I did some things wrong, I'm sure my son did some things wrong too. So, it's always a give and take like that. But this all came to fruition just the other day. My parents are now living next door to me, and I didn't visit them as often, and I'm talking about recently. As a senior citizen myself, I didn't visit them. They lived 10 miles away from me. I did not visit them as often as I should have visited them. Okay. I had a schedule, I would go over on Wednesdays and Sundays. I was going over every other day for a long time, and my mom says that I was cramping their style. Okay. So I quit going so often. And anyways, I wasn't going over as often as I should have. Now that they've moved next door to me just recently, and I went through all that in my channel here. You've seen the videos about the mobile home purchase and all that. And if you haven't, you can check right here. I'll put a link right here to one of the videos. I think I have a playlist. I'll put a link to the playlist up here if I can, and you can go check out the videos about the actual process I went through. But having them next door to me has made me realize, hey, they need me, okay? Just like the other day, I was sitting in my house relaxing on my tablet on YouTube, and my mom calls me on the phone, and when she calls me and says, "Are you busy?" she usually wants something, okay? And she called me and said, "Are you busy?" I said, "No, not right at the moment." And she says she wanted me to go with her down to Lowe's and purchase a new refrigerator. The refrigerator they got in their mobile home is not good enough for them. And the reason why is it's a traditional freezer on top, refrigerator on the bottom. Well, they had bought a new refrigerator in the condo last year, and it had the French door refrigerator on top and the freezer on the bottom. And it's a lot easier for a senior citizen to use that kind of refrigerator. They don't have to bend over, okay, and get into the refrigerator all the time. Pretty good idea, really. So I said, "Well, can we go tomorrow?" She said, "No." She said, "I don't think the sale is going to be there tomorrow." So I said, "Okay, let's go now." So I got dressed, went over to her house, picked her up, put her in her car, and we went to Lowe's. I took my tape measure with me, measured everything first, wrote it down on a piece of paper. We went to Lowe's. The lady was right there. The sales lady said, "Can we help you?" "Yes," she said. And I said, "My mom wants to look at this refrigerator right here." She goes, "They're right over here." We went over and looked at them. We opened it up. My mom said, "Yes, this is what I want." We did the whole transaction in about 15 minutes, and we was out the door and back home again, okay? But my point is this, okay? When your parents get older, like mine, and they need more help, you need to be more understanding about what they do. They just bought a new computer. Okay, it sat there for a week while I was on vacation. I know it killed them, but I told them not to open the box until I came home so I could set it up for them. So these are the kind of things that we help our parents with, okay? And I got to thinking about that. I got to thinking about what I did for my mother that day and all the other things that I've done through the last couple months during this move. And I thought to myself, who's going to be there for me? Who is going to help me? If something was to happen, that my wife passed away and I was living here by myself and I became sick, who's going to come and help me get to the hospital? Right now, I don't have anybody to help me. So, that kind of got to thinking in my mind. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.